Hello and welcome to the 26th episode of the Real List Podcast, a podcast about our real list. I'm your host, Ellis.
And I'm your host, Gloria.
And today we have a selection from me.
Yeah.
We're finally getting around to this one. Although, I will say, right away, this is something that you said you wanted to see when it came out 9 years ago.
I did. I did want to see it when it first came out, but...
This is Pacific Rim. Came out in 2013. This is a movie that
That's so crazy that it came out in 2013.
Yeah, I know, it's 9 years ago.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we're old. This is... I mean, it is a movie about giant robots punching giant aliens. It's basically if you had, like, 50 Godzillas and giant mechs to fight them. That's really all this movie is, although... There are a couple other places where this thing shines beyond the choreography and the CGI. And there are some areas where it does not shine. I'm sure we'll cover all of those as we get through it. But yeah, this was directed by Guillermo del Toro, screenplay by Travis Beacham, and Guillermo del Toro. Beckham. Doesn't look like a Beckham.
No, it looks like Beacham.
Starring Charlie Hunnam, Idris Elba, Rinko Kikuchi, Charlie Day, Rob Kaczynski, Max Martini, and Ron Perlman.
Fucking Ron Perlman.
There's a great write-up on his character and a great, like, blurb from an interview with him down in this Wikipedia article. But, yeah, this is really something. This is quite a movie, and it was thrown together in a really short amount of time. Like, it was filmed in 103 days. Which is real short.
How much did it make in the box office?
It made $411 million, and like 3/4 of that was overseas.
Oh.
It's amazing that it made so much money not in the U.S., basically. It's very rare that a film makes this much money, and the lion's share of that is not in the U.S. And... It's, it doubled its budget. The budget is very high. This might be one of the highest budget films we've reviewed thus far. This is a $200 million film. Which compared to, that is more than the entire Cornetto trilogy, I think, put together. Running time 132 minutes. It's a little over 2 hours, but
2 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like it. It's a little...
Because there's so much action packed into it, so you're like, oh, this movie's going by wicked fast. And we were at a point in the movie where we were, it was before...
We were an hour and 10 minutes in or so.
And I was like, oh, the movie's gonna end here. And I checked it, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's not over?
Yeah. I remember having the conversation with you of just like, I boiled down your question, your incredulity to... How are we going to have another hour of this movie?
The movie proved me wrong. It gave us a whole other hour of the movie, which was freaking great.
Oh, yeah. All the way through to the end, this thing is great. And actually, that was the question that I had for you, which is that 9 years ago you wanted to see this thing in theaters, didn't get to. Now you see it for the first time. Did it live up to...
Yeah, it did. It did because it,
14-year-old you's hopes.
Yeah, because, what was I gonna say?
Something.
When I wanted to see this all those years ago, I was like, oh, I want to see it. I'm very excited because there was the talk of the Godzilla. It was, I think, when did Kong Skull Island come out?
Okay, hold on, let me look that up.
Or the new Godzilla movie.
Kong Skull Island was 2017.
2017. What was Godzilla?
Godzilla was 2014. So, very shortly after.
Because there was talk about this movie coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And then this movie came out first. And I saw previews for this movie. And I was like, oh, so it's kind of like Godzilla. It's like in kind of the same... Not the same universe, but the same aspects.
It's the same sort of thing. And that's something that Guillermo del Toro sort of was shooting for. To not be derivative and to not be like a genre film, but at the same time evoke that sort of old school Godzilla movie sort of thing. And there's actually, and this is one of the times that I will recommend reading the Wikipedia article on this all the way through, because there's some really interesting stuff in here, from interviews with Del Toro and interviews with, like I mentioned, the various actors who played the characters, including Ron Perlman, who his is hilarious. We need to talk about his character when we get there. And just, and even from, if I can get back to it, there was shucks, where did it go? Marketing, release, blah blah blah, critical response. Japanese game director Hideo Kojima, who called it the ultimate otaku film, and said he never imagined he would be fortunate enough to see a film like this in his lifetime. So that is high praise. So, and lots of people have lots of great things to say about this movie. One of the things that's worth pointing out about it, which, again, I had the freedom to read through the whole thing while you were taking the dog out, was that this film is not unique, but a little rare in the case that it has a female lead who has a character arc that is completely irrespective of a love story, basically. This movie doesn't really have a love story. I mean, it sort of does, but it doesn't.
Kind of, sort of doesn't, but yeah, you're right. You're right. It doesn't really have that love story that I thought there was going to be.
Yeah, no.
Because when I first saw the male lead, and I was like, oh, there's going to have to be a romantic interest here. And then I saw her, and I was like, there she is, that's her!
Yeah. And while there is definitely an interest there, and it's touched on, like, once in a very brief moment, I mean, obviously you can see her, like, simping for him from the moment they meet.
Peeping Tom, having ass.
But it's not, her character arc is completely irrespective of that.
Yeah, no, her character arc is not caused because of the romance, quote-unquote romance. Her character arc is based off the growth and getting her vengeance for her family.
Honestly, she might be my favorite character in this movie.
I loved her.
Yeah. Also, Mako Mori is just a cool name.
Yeah.
And what the hell was Idris Elba's name? Marshall Stacker something. That is a cool name. And he kills that role.
Marshall Stacker Pentecost.
Yeah, Marshall Stacker Pentecost. And that's when you saw Idris Elba, you were like, that's Idris Elba!
Yeah, Idris Elba's the man.
He is. Would you like to know that they originally offered that role to Tom Cruise? I'm so glad it was not Tom Cruise doing that.
I would have never watched this movie if it was fucking Tom Cruise.
Well, that much I know.
I'm sorry. If you don't know this by now, I hate Tom Cruise with a passion.
Yeah. But it is... This is where this movie shines. It has really good characters. Like, every character in this film gets an arc, just about. And, what, did he roll a squeaky underneath the couch?
I have no idea. Also, I want to talk about Charlie Hunnam. I think that's how you say his last name.
Oh, Raleigh?
Yeah. The main character... the main character... he is in Sons of Anarchy. He was in Sons of Anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there's rumors that he's supposed to be the new Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 2. And I don't know if that's true, but there was rumors. There's been rumors.
What if he's Johnny Cage in a giant mech? That's
a little overpowered, don't you think?
No, that sounds about right.
Wait, hold on.
Can we get Godzilla in a Mortal Kombat game, please? He was also considered for the role of Prince Nuada in Hellboy 3.
2.
Oh, 2. Sorry. Hellboy 2. And, yeah, I mean, again, this is where this movie shines. It shines in its action sequences, obviously. It has to. Mm-hmm. It's mostly action sequence.
Oh my god, all the fight scenes are just so phenomenal.
Really. It's like we've gone up, I don't know how this rates next to Mortal Kombat, but it's pretty close at least. Uh, we went from Doom to Mortal Kombat and Pacific Rim. Now that's why I picked this one as the next one, because I was like, all right, we gotta do this. This is the best. This is the best movie with like physical fights that I know personally. So this was next, and then we watched Minions instead.
Yeah.
But okay. Also, Newt was in. Newt is in It's Always Sunny. Newt is the
guy that
the guy pointing at the that meme. The guy
that
with the red web. Yeah.
That is him. Oh my god. I didn't know that was him.
I did not make the connection until I read this. Then I was like, holy crap! Yeah, you're right. And
his character is a lot. Like he's great. He's funny. He's just a lot, and he wants to be right.
The two scientists.
Yes. What was it? It was Newt.
Newt and he's down. He's like towards the bottom. I don't know why they're not next to each other. Gottlieb, Dr. Herman Gottlieb. They you're right. They are a lot. That is a good way to describe them.
I like how Newt was like, "Oh, I can totally drift with a kaiju," and they were like, "If you do it, you're going to die. And you're going to die."
He leaves that message, like,
"If I die,
I was right anyway."
I was right anyways. But then he comes to find out from Hannibal, Ron Perlman's character, that if you drift with a kaiju, you're like linked to them, and they'll come find you if they come out of the breach.
Well, he doesn't learn that from Ron Perlman's character. He sort of just Perlman figures it out before him. Because Newt says to what was his
Hannibal
name?
Chow.
Newt says to Chow, like, yeah, I drifted with the kaiju and they have this whole hive mind thing and blah blah blah. And that's when Chow is like, oh my god, you're a dummy, because taking that information that he just received, obviously now all the kaiju know everything that Newt knows or knew.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you could say that he learned it from Chow, but it's not like Chow had any more information than he did. He just figured it out faster.
Well, Chow also drifted with a kaiju himself.
Did he?
He did. That's why he said he already knows. Remember when he took his glasses off and he's like, I know. When the two kaijus arose from the breach, and he's got the scratch on his face, that's why he wears his glasses.
Oh, he said he got that in one of the shelters.
Because a kaiju was looking for him.
Ah, okay, I didn't put that together. See, that is actually that's a pretty deep read of this movie. I'm actually pretty impressed because I didn't pick up on that. I wanted to get onto one of the things that the movie does not do well. Speaking of deep reads of this movie, is like every scientific thing in this movie. It's not like they're trying to do it right and getting things wrong. It is, at its core, kind of campy, and so the science doesn't have to make sense. The helicopters carrying the Jaegers around is nonsense. Those
things probably weigh tons,
yeah,
not even.
The Jaegers and the kaiju being able to stand up on their own is also nonsense. You know, they would just, like, crumble. There's nothing strong enough to hold them. But,
what do you mean?
Like, if you had a creature the size of Godzilla,
mm-hmm.
it would just crumple and fall over, because it wouldn't have bones strong enough to hold it up. As something gets bigger, the weight that you need to carry
mm-hmm.
in that being goes up at an exponential rate.
Yeah.
So, as a creature gets bigger, it gets harder and harder for that creature to stay up. That's why, I mean, T-Rexes and, big dinos are big, but they're not Godzilla-sized. If something is Godzilla-sized, its bones are going to just shatter and it's going to fall into, like, a puddle of goo, because it's too big. So, I mean, ignoring that, because you can't have a monster movie if you acknowledge basic physics, but the other things the thing that's irked me from the moment I saw this movie, I've been bothered by this for 9 years, is that when the EMP goes off and shuts down all the Jaegers and shuts down the Shattered Home, cool name by the way, and Raleigh's like, a Gypsy will still work, Gypsy's analog, nuclear. It's like, first of all, that doesn't make any sense, because there's 0% chance that Gypsy Danger is analog. I don't think the movie knows, or at least does not care what that means.
Why? What does it mean?
Analog stuff, think of like an old radio with vacuum tubes and things like that. It doesn't have any integrated circuits. It doesn't run on binary logic like a computer does. There is a 0% chance that these Jaegers run on analog computer logic. It does not make any sense. And saying that it's nuclear has nothing to do with that anyway. If you look at, is it possible? Yeah, but would it happen? No. We don't make analog stuff now. And we're not making giant robots.
At some point during the movie, we also both got up off the couch and went and sat on the floor.
Well, yeah, because you were like, I gotta see these fight scenes up closer. Like,
I was like, I need to see the details. I need to see the details of these suits. I need to see the details in the kaijus. I need to see, what they were doing, what they were using. Like, I know this isn't, like, actually real, but, it's interesting to see.
I mean, there's a lot of attention to detail in the
It is.
CGI.
There is a lot of interesting details to take in and everything.
What was the other stuff that I was going to get on this movie about? Oh, yeah, the pregnant kaiju doesn't make any goddamn sense. Because they're grown. They're lab grown. They're manufactured. Exactly. The monsters are made. Why would one be pregnant? Do you think they're like, oh, okay, we make them and then we release them into this holding pen and, I guess they boned before we sent them to attack Earth.
Maybe they sent one pregnant. Maybe they made it pregnant.
But why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
I mean, clearly they had to, because they make the things. It's not like it would have happened by accident.
Maybe, you know how, the scientist, what was his name?
Which one?
The British one.
Dr. Where is he? He's on this list somewhere. Down more?
Right there.
No, wait, where?
Right there.
Where?
Herman.
Herman? Oh, Herman Gottlieb. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I was reading the actor names. I was reading the actor names and I couldn't find him. Of course I couldn't find him reading the actor's name.
His first name is Byrne. What a name.
That's awesome.
What a name.
What about him?
How he was talking about the kaijus coming in threes. Maybe that was the kaiju coming in a three?
No, because he got the triple event that he predicted at the end of the movie. It was supposed to be a double and then a triple, and that's what happened. The only thing I can think of is that they were using this one to gestate a new one, and therefore, and they sent it out early, or when it wasn't supposed to be sent out, because they were looking for, what's his name? They were looking for Newt.
Mm-hmm.
And they just sort of jumped the gun on that. Maybe the aliens made a clerical error and sent out the wrong kaiju. I don't feel like that's a reasonable explanation.
I don't know, because when Newt drifted with the kaiju or whatever he saw, it looked like they had them on a conveyor belt and just pushed them out.
Yeah, exactly.
It looked like they were like tied up and just pushed out.
Yeah, they probably sent them into like a kaiju cannon and yeet them out of the breach. Which, yeah. And the thing that undermines my own theory, what I just said, is that if they're sending out pregnant kaiju on the jump, wouldn't this have happened before with the one that went after Chow?
Cannibal?
Yeah. Maybe? I don't know. I mean, that's sort of a rare occurrence.
I don't know, because they never mentioned anything about one being pregnant before.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like they could have avoided that entire sequence. I mean, yes, it was funny watching Ron Perlman get eaten
by a baby kaiju.
By a baby kaiju when he's going like, yeah, I knew it wouldn't make it. I I knew. From the moment I saw it, I knew we were going to be fine, and then it just gobbles them up, which I guess kaiju blood isn't acidic to Ron Perlman specifically, because he should have, like, melted when he's cutting his way out in the after credits scene.
Where's my shoe?
Where is my goddamn shoe?
Fucking Ron Perlman.
He kills that role. But again,
love Ron Perlman.
The acting, the characters, and the action in this movie is pretty damn good.
It is really good, and I loved Riley's character.
Riley?
Yeah, whatever. It's Riley.
No, it's Raleigh, like Raleigh, North Carolina, like the city.
Raleigh.
That's how it's spelled, anyway.
I mean, people have it spelled like that and say it's Riley.
Well, those people are wrong.
You're wrong.
I might be, but we did watch this movie together. Didn't he correct the cheeky Aussie who he gets in a fist fight with? Awesome moment, by the way.
Oh my god, I thought that they were going to become drift compatible for a second when they were fighting.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
When they were fighting, I thought, you know how they did the slow motion where in between where Raleigh tucked his arm underneath him and like was trying to get him into a hold? It looked, they did that slow motion shot, and I thought that they were trying to show us that, oh, now they're drift compatible.
In bed. Actually, I had a moment, because I just had a moment when the two scientists are bickering, which I really want your opinion on their characters, because, man, they're
secretly gay lovers.
Okay, yeah, that. I yelled at the screen, just kiss already. But, man, am I so torn on their characters. Like, they're good characters, but they're just... I mean, at least they find their feet a little later, but when you meet them right away and they're trying to be like a little Abbott and Costello, like comedic duo, for the sake of the movie,
it wasn't entertaining at first.
Yeah, the movie tries to be like goes out of its way to be funny sometimes,
and it shouldn't.
No, it doesn't work.
This is a action alien movie. You're not supposed to have any comedy unless you can kind of slip it, unless you can really slip it in there. In my opinion, excuse me.
Giggity. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not trying to say that it should never be funny, you know, and there shouldn't be comedic moments.
I mean, there were some pretty good moments in there.
Yeah, it just needs to be subtle.
Yeah.
It needs to be subtle, and those two, when you meet them, I guess it sets up their characters well enough, but it is...
It's like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, it's off-putting at first.
I wanted to talk about the different Jaeger types.
Oh,
because there was Gypsy, there was the one that looked like the Big Daddy, there was the three-armed one because there was...
The one that looked like the Big Daddy, that was Cherno Alpha, that was the Russian one, very cool.
Yes. And then there was the Japanese...
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that, but it had the three arms, and which one you're talking about.
And it had the triplets in it. And then you had the one with the Aussies in it.
That was Striker... something or other?
I'm pretty sure they have the names
Striker
somewhere.
E-word. Striker Echo? No, it's not Striker Echo. Striker... Keep talking.
I like how they were like, Striker needs to stay back because they're the only one that can carry the bomb. And then they had this whole giant plan to put...
Striker Eureka.
Striker Eureka.
It was an E-word.
They had a plan to put 3 down there to put the bomb through the breach, and then they figured out that you have to have a kaiju barcode to get into the breach.
You have to have kaiju DNA on you.
Yeah, it's like a barcode.
Yeah, well, they described it as like a barcode, which is convenient that they're all clones then. I like how that came back around. I don't like how a lot of the things that Gypsy Danger could do were not very well set up.
What do you mean?
Like, I know most of the stuff gets featured more than once, but the different thrusters that it has, the sword, which doesn't show up until halfway through the movie, I just don't feel like the abilities that Gypsy Danger has are properly set up and paid off. They just sort of appear when the plot needs them.
Well, the character who played, Mako Mori, said that was the one who discovered the sword. So she was the one who knew that it was there the entire time.
Oh, well, okay.
Unless they just added it when they refurbished her.
See, that is a good idea, but I don't think they made that. If they had gone that route and made that clear, then that would make sense to me. And it's a good enough explanation, but since they don't state it explicitly in the movie, maybe you're supposed to just assume that it's something they added new because Raleigh didn't know about it. That's a decent enough explanation. I just don't... They don't cover that. And, using the jet on his chest, which does show up when they're falling from space, and then they use it again later. Using the jets on his back, why didn't they use that when they were falling? I feel like Gypsy Danger's abilities are very much consistent with whatever the plot needs them to be. But again, this movie doesn't really care about being scientifically hard, if you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't care about being super consistent. Oh yeah, the other thing. Pulling the power cord out of the console shuts off Gypsy Danger, which is powered by an internal nuclear reactor, when the plasma cannon was going to fire. Because that makes sense. I was going, how are you shutting down the Jaeger with the power cable?
The Jaeger was still connected to everything.
I don't buy it. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't feel like A, a power cable of that size would be able to power the giant robot. B, that power cable would be routed through the main console. Like, it would be coming from somewhere else.
The director.
I'm not asking you specifically, but okay, I will. Where's Guillermo del Toro's phone number?
I don't know, in your butt.
Okay. But yeah, no, it's a good movie. I like the movie. You ready to go to star ratings? Also, the bit where another weird comedy moment is the bit with the Newton's cradle when he punches through the building. Gypsy Danger punches through the building and hits the Newton's cradle.
Oh yeah,
that was bizarre. And then
I just love how the slow motion and it's just like ding.
Yeah, and when he uses the sword as a uses the ship as a baseball bat, which is the coolest.
I was like, they involved the Titanic. I said a lot of funny things through this movie, and it's just a shame.
The one thing they get right is what a nuclear bomb does when you set it off on the ocean floor.
Oh, boils of the water?
Yeah. And then the water comes crashing back down. Anyway, what's your star rating?
You rate the movie first.
Okay, sure. I'll rate it 4.5 because I like this movie. What about you?
I'll give it a 4.5 as well because I wanted to see it all those years ago, and I feel like this movie would have had a better impact on me if I saw it back in 2013. But I don't know. I liked this movie, and I thought it was really great. The acting was spot on. The attention to detail was great. The designs were flawless.
Oh yeah, that's what I read. There were hundreds of designs for kaiju and Jaegers.
I don't doubt it.
And they did like an on-set sort of American Idol sort of thing to whittle down the pool weekly. Like every week, they would go and do that to pick something.
Honestly, I mean, that'd be cool if your Jaeger or kaiju got picked for this movie. That's really freaking awesome. Like,
I want to be the guy who just sits around and designs kaiju.
I also love how Newt pulled up his sleeves and he was just tatted out, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And he had the kaiju tattoos. Oh, and you were totally right. Remember the one that you were like, why does it look like a giant ape?
Yeah.
It was based on a giant ape.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, that was what they took inspiration from. And the one that stabbed the heck out of Gypsy Danger right at the beginning.
The one that looked like the Atlantic sea shark or whatever.
Yeah, it's a goblin shark.
I fucking knew it was on the tip of my tongue. I was like, it looks like a shark that sits below the wall, like sits in the depths of the ocean.
It's
Some of
gobbling these
them,
nuts, shark.
and then the category 5 looked like a hammerhead shark mixed with a squid.
Yeah, that thing was crazy. Again, if they made like a weekly show of just
I'm pretty sure you
giant
could
robots
probably look up
punching
on
giant.
YouTube all the designs or all the sketches that they got. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if that. Who's to know if that made it out as press material? Maybe it came as like bonus material when you bought the DVD or something. Anyway, what you doing?
I was just looking at because I saw somebody say, so Tyler.
Yeah, no, Lafayette tried to catch a groundhog before this and got it for a second, and then it got away. Anyway, yeah, so love this movie.
Next movie is Godzilla versus Kong.
Yay!
Oh, shut up! Let's go watch a movie! Yay! Like, comment, and subscribe.
Oh yeah, we didn't do that whole thing.
Let's get this channel to 100 subscribers so we can fix the URL.
You remember to do it, but you always do it like someone's holding you at gunpoint and making you say like, comment, and subscribe.
You know, let's not talk about that.
Okay, I guess there's a ghost with a gun in here.
No, there isn't. I'm just, we're at 83 subscribers right now, so let's get there.
So Boston makes me feel good.
Bye, guys.